Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So the day is finally here. XRP holders have been waiting for years for the SEC case to be officially put behind them. If you guys have been watching my videos for the last few years, you know that I have stated time and time again that I cannot wait until the day we finally put this case behind us. Well, it's officially here. The case is done. And the announcement that we just got from Ripple is a big signal of, number one, how big of an issue this case has been. But number two, the future that we are marching into. Because it's very easy to dwell on the past. It's very hard to be a visionary and really kind of see where we're headed. Today, XRP has a market cap of almost 43 billion, fully diluted value of almost $246 billion, and we are trading at about $2 and almost 46 cents. Right? It's like $2.45, $8. I bring this up because it's not so much about price action, but it's also about the fact that over the last few weeks and technically months, the reason why XRP has been trading at the prices that it's been is the signal that we were getting from the Trump admin, that the entire shift around the regulatory stance within crypto was about to happen. And that's why XRP is at the levels that it is at now. It's not just the big moves being made behind the scenes. It's the sentiment. Ever since the election, people have been, anticipating and ultimately waiting for this case to be finished. It's now finally here. And I do believe that XRP will be trading significantly higher this year than where we are at right now. But it's not just about the price action. And I said over on X, I just want to say congratulations to every single XRP holder out there. I also want to thank Brad Garlinghouse, Stuart Alderoty, Chris Larson, and the legal team behind Ripple for fighting for the entire crypto industry. Just think about what we have gone through since the SEC started a war against Ripple. 4 years of wasted time and resources. Over $200 million in legal fees. $15 billion in retail damages just from the lawsuit announcement alone. Thousands of missed opportunities for Ripple and even XRP. Suppressed XRP price action. Restricted US market expansion for Ripple. I can mention much more, but I'd rather not dwell on the past and instead look forward to the future. The future is brighter than ever before for both Ripple and XRP. This year has been filled with massive wins for the crypto industry, but this one is special. I look forward to watching what Ripple and XRP are capable of doing now that they are unleashed completely. And yes, I want you guys to understand that it's not just about price action. It's about what's going to happen next now, right? Because remember, Ripple was on the fence around the US market for years. And even more recently, we know that Ripple has been hiring like crazy in the US, expanding crazy in the US. I do question what's going to happen next. But the official announcement is here from Stuart Alderoty, which is the final crossing of T's and dotting of I's, and what should be my last update on the SEC versus Ripple ever. Last week, the SEC agreed to drop its appeal without conditions. Ripple has now agreed to drop its cross appeal. The SEC will keep $50 million of the $125 million fine already in an interest-bearing escrow in cash, with the balance returned to Ripple. The agency will also ask the court to lift the standard injunction that was imposed earlier at the SEC's request. All subject to commission vote, drafting of final documents, and usual court processes. That's all, folks. Guys, we are now going to be a part of history. We are a part of history. This case was a historical case. And we're going to look back on this case. We're going to look back on the year of 2025. The last 4 years, we can't forget. But one thing that I will say is that being a part of this community and also experiencing the same exact 4 years with all of you, I could not have it any other way. We have gone through tremendous ups and downs during this entire time. But one thing that I know is I believe that this will all be worth it in the end. What we are about to witness going forward is prosperity and significant growth across the board. I am very excited about the future, but we can't get too far ahead of ourselves because we do have a few things to wait for. Now, Eleanor did say just in, Ripple has agreed to drop its appeal against the SEC Gov and pay $50 million of the originally ordered $125 million fine. The SEC will also ask Judge Torres to lift the obey the law injunction she imposed on Ripple in addition to the fine. Once all of this has been voted on by the commission and the court documents are in order, the SEC Gov versus Ripple case will be over once and for all. Now, Fred Rispoli, who is a lawyer, so, he's one to really kind of get all of this in line for us. He did say, updated SEC versus Ripple timeline with the announcement by Stuart Alderati. You better believe the paperwork has been drawn up already. Now we wait on a vote by the SEC Commission less than 30 days, which I would argue that we could even see that voted on this Thursday in that closed door meeting. Then we wait on filing by the SEC to lift injunction, which will be unopposed by Ripple. Judge Torres will sign off on it less than 30 days from motion filing. At most, we are about 60 days out from this being 100% formally, legally, and spectacularly over. And yeah, I think that this case is, number one, this case is done. But number two, this case is very special in the fact that, like I said, we're going to be looking back on it. It's a historical case. I truly do think that this will be, a case that sets an example going forward. But I'm really looking at what happens next. Now, here we got a little bit of an update on Eleanor because she did really kind of speak what I feel like every XRP holder was really kind of thinking. She said, here's why regulation by enforcement is the least effective way to achieve regulatory clarity. Including the fine, Ripple has shelled out somewhere between $150 to $200 million in legal fees, only to end up in more or less the same position it was in when the SEC Gov brought the lawsuit in 2020. The SEC also presumably spent quite a few taxpayer dollars on its own legal fees. In the process, XRP holders were negatively affected by, exchange delistings, causing their holdings to decrease in value. Other crypto projects were hesitant to build in the US for fear of getting sued. Gensler's SEC Gov diminished public trust by prioritizing its limited resources going after crypto firms for failing to register with the commission, while missing bad actors like FTX, 3Ark, and Celsius that caused real investor harm in the space. And yeah, listen, we know that at the end of the day, FTX was about $16 billion, I believe, completely wiped out. All in all, we're probably over $100 billion in damages by the SEC Gov over the last 4 years. We didn't even mention Luna, right? It's kind of crazy to me that the XRP army and Ripple got targeted before FTX, Celsius, 3AC, etc. The silver lining for Ripple here is that it gets to pay a smaller fine than it otherwise would have, likely walk away without an ongoing injunction, and take credit for helping to get legal clarity for the programmatic secondary market sales of XRP, a ruling that's now unchallenged. Now, also, I do want to say one thing. That, now that this case is over, we go back to a recent update from Ripple back in the, beginning half of like March, right? March 13th. Ripple secures DFSA license to offer regulated blockchain-powered payments in the UAE. Why am I bringing this up? Well, it's because if we scroll down, all right, they're talking about all of these global markets, how great Ripple is doing outside of the US, because, obviously they are. We go down here and we look at the New York Department of Financial Services Trust Charter. And then we also look at the money transmitter licenses that they hold across multiple US states. I think that they're up to 40 or so. They might even have an MTL in majority of states. But one thing that I want everyone to realize, when we look at Ripple, they are on a completely different level. And now, with this case being done, all of the moves that they've been making over the last 4 years outside of the US, that's also going to come in handy. Ripple is about to take the world by storm now that this case is over. And yes, I do believe that Ripple is going to bring the XRP ledger and XRP along with it for the ride, because we know that RLUSD is issued out on the XRP ledger as well as Ethereum. We know almost every single Ripple product is tied back to XRP or the XRPL in some sort of way. And we also know all of the big players at Ripple, like Brad Garlinghouse, Monica Long, etc., they've all stated that everything that Ripple does, they have XRP in mind. I'm very excited for the future. I'm very excited to see what Ripple does next. And by the way, to close this out, I just want to play a real quick video from Crypto Unwrapped with James Murphy, aka Meta Lawman. Regardless of which crypto tribe you align with, I think we should acknowledge that Ripple's lonely fight against the SEC was key to the survival of the crypto industry in the US. Because I want to close this out on the fact that this case was so much more than just getting XRP's name cleared. It was so much more than getting the Ripple name cleared. It was for all of crypto, especially in the US.
At the same time, though, James, I think it's also important to acknowledge that there were many others fighting alongside us, and many who were actually fighting even before we got dragged into this entire regulation by enforcement campaign. I think of people like Stu Alderati, John Deaton, folks who really bore the brunt of Mr. Gensler's early efforts to try to crack down on crypto and essentially stamp it out before it could become large enough and broad enough to have a movement of regular people behind it. I give a lot of those folks a lot of credit for holding the SEC at bay for as long as they did.
And I really appreciate you calling out Ripple and Stu Alderati
Absolutely.
and Garlinghouse, because, man, when they were attacked, it was a lonely spot.
Sure was.
For them. A lot of people in crypto are thinking, well, maybe they'll just stop with Ripple, an XRP, who knows, kind of fingers crossed. And we're not getting a tremendous amount of support from the industry. And I knew nothing about I was practicing law up until 2022. I really did not understand the inception of that case and how problematic and suspicious it was. But in any event, yeah, thank God they have had the wherewithal and, the fighting spirit to signal very clearly, we're going to the Supreme Court, so we're going to fight you every step of the way. And so the way I viewed the entire chessboard was, if they could stop Ripple and establish that XRP was an investment contract in and of itself, which is so ridiculous. And then the second piece was then all of the exchanges were somehow engaged in trading of free-floating investment contracts where I don't even know who the counterparties were on these investment contracts. But leave that aside. Then you're done. Then you have killed the crypto industry, because if XRP is a security, everybody's pretty much a security.
And yeah, you know, he's 100% correct here. It's the number one reason why they went after XRP. A lot of people consider, you know, them going after XRP as like, you know, oh, it's to, you know, boost XRP or boost Ethereum and boost Bitcoin, because again, at that time, XRP was hovering right around like the second spot. If you think about it, the best way to kill this industry and protect the big banks, which is what Gary Gensler's plan was, I feel like it was also kind of on the same, you know, path as Jay Clayton as well. You know, if you think about it, you go after XRP, which is in the top 3, one of the biggest crypto projects. Then you go after Ripple as well, one of the largest blockchain-based crypto companies. That's also targeting TradFi, the big banks. If you win that, everything around crypto is basically dead. You now have an argument for almost every single crypto project being a security. They wanted to kill crypto. They wanted to choke it off. They wanted to kill it, and they wanted to make an example out of Ripple and XRP. But the thing is that everyone always wants to say, oh, well, you know, the Ripple executives are so greedy. They've been selling XRP for years. This, that. Guys, they could have easily have taken a settlement and got away with it. They could have easily just said, like, all right, that's it. We're done. We're taking the settlement. Who cares if XRP gets labeled as security or not? Like, if you really want to think about greed, that would have been the greediest thing to do. But instead, they fought for 4 years. They put up $200 million. And now we could see that this technically has saved the entire US crypto market. XRP is now free. Ripple is now free. This is a big deal. And it really is a historical moment for crypto. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.